The Galactic Council had learned many things about humans in the 3 cycles since first contact. They were persistent, innovative, and disturbingly sentimental about the strangest things, but nothing prepared the Council for what happened after the Battle of Kepler 442b. Addison stood in the observation deck of the medical frigate Sanctuary, watching the debris field shimmer against the distant star. Twisted metal, frozen bodies, and the shattered dreams of 100 species drifted in the cosmic graveyard. Her fingers drummed against the transparisteel viewport, a nervous habit she'd developed during her 10 years as a trauma surgeon. "They're asking again," Matthew said, entering the deck with a datapad clutched in his weathered hands. As the Sanctuary's chief engineer, he'd seen his share of impossible situations. This might top them all. "Let me guess," Addison said without turning. "The Vrexian High Command wants to know why we're wasting resources on their wounded, and the Korthian delegation, and the Zelathi hive mind." Matthew moved beside her, his reflection ghosting across the viewport. "They don't understand why we're not just moving on." The battle had been brutal. A Rouge AI collective had swept through the Kepler system, destroying everything in its path. The United Fleet had won, but barely. 73 ships reduced to 17. Casualty estimates exceeded 2 million. Most species followed the same protocol: collect your dead, abandon the rest, rebuild. It was efficient. It was logical. The wounded who couldn't be saved quickly were given mercy and released to the void. Humans did things differently. "How many in triage?" Addison asked. 4,216, Matthew replied, scrolling through his datapad. 47 different species. Some we've never even treated before. "Then we'd better get started." The Sanctuary had been designed as a mobile hospital, but even its impressive facilities were strained. Addison had converted cargo bays into emergency wards, transformed the shuttle hangar into an ICU, and turned the mess hall into a rehabilitation center. Her staff of 112 worked 18-hour shifts, performing medical miracles with coffee and determination. In Bay 7, a young Korthian, barely past their second molt, lay unconscious on a biobed. Their chitinous armor had been shattered, exposing the vulnerable flesh beneath. 3 other ships had marked them as unsalvageable. Addison had spent 6 hours in surgery saving them. "Dr. Addison," a Vrexian officer approached, his scales rippling with confusion. "My cub Zilrath, you operated on him yesterday. I remember. Spinal reconstruction. How is he?" The Vrexian's secondary eyelids flickered. "He will live. He will walk again." A long pause. "Why?" Addison looked up from her medical scanner. "I'm sorry. Why did you save him?" "He was broken. In our culture, a warrior who cannot fight has no purpose. You should have let him die with honor. With respect, Commander, your son isn't a warrior right now. He's a patient, and I don't leave patients behind." The Vrexian stared at her for a long moment, then slowly lowered his head in a gesture she'd learned meant profound respect among his kind. "You humans, you are strange predators. Strange predators." The label had stuck since first contact. Humans had forward-facing eyes, ate meat, and descended from pursuit hunters. By every galactic metric, they were predators. But they didn't act like any predator species the galaxy had known. Matthew found Addison in the engineering section 3 days later, modifying a Zelathi stasis pod to work with mammalian biology. Her hair was tied back in a messy bun, and her medical coat was stained with a rainbow of alien blood. "The Council is getting impatient," he said, handing her a calibration tool. "They want us to rejoin the fleet. Tell them we'll catch up when we're done." "Addison, I'm not leaving these people, Matt. I don't care what their governments say." Matthew smiled. He'd known her long enough to expect nothing less. "I already told them that. I also told them we'd need 17 more ships if they wanted this done faster. And they're sending 12. Addison stopped working and looked at him. "Seriously? Apparently the young Korthian you saved? He's the nephew of their hive queen. And that Vrexian Zilrath? His father commands their second fleet." Matthew's smile widened. "Word is spreading. They're calling us the Menders. Some species are starting to send their wounded to us instead of spacing them." Over the next weeks, the Sanctuary became something unprecedented, a multi-species medical hub where the hopeless found hope. A Draxian pilot who'd lost all 4 arms received cybernetic replacements. A Peltheran who'd been exposed to void received experimental gene therapy. A Tyrellian child, orphaned and traumatized, found comfort in the ship's human crew. The young Vrexian, Zilrath, became a fixture in the rehabilitation center. Despite his father's initial protests, he embraced his recovery with fierce determination. One day, Addison found him helping a wounded Zalathi learn to use their new prosthetic limb. "You're doing well," she observed. Zilrath's scales flushed with pride. "You saved me when I was broken. Now I help others who are broken. Is this not what humans do? It's what everyone should do. But they don't." Zilrath gestured around the bay where dozens of species worked together in recovery. "My father says I am changed, that you have made me weak. What do you say?" The young Vrexian stood straighter. "I say I am stronger than before, because now I understand what true strength is." 6 months after the Battle of Kepler 442b, the Sanctuary finally returned to the main fleet. They brought with them 4,198 survivors. 18 had been too broken even for human medicine. Addison mourned each one. The Galactic Council convened a special session. Representatives from every major species gathered as Addison and Matthew stood before them. "Humanity," the council chairman began, "has demonstrated a peculiar approach to warfare and its aftermath. You fight fiercely, but you mend freely. You are predators who refuse to abandon prey. How do you explain this contradiction?" Addison glanced at Matthew, then addressed the council. "It's not a contradiction. It's who we are. On Earth we have a saying, we were all broken once. Some of us still are. But broken things can be fixed, and fixed things can be stronger than before." "This is inefficient," a Korthian representative buzzed. "Maybe," Matthew interjected. "But those 4,000 survivors? They're telling their people what humans did. Some of them are becoming doctors, engineers, teachers. They're spreading the idea that broken doesn't mean useless." The chairman's antennae twitched thoughtfully. "You are changing the galaxy's understanding of strength." "No," Addison said firmly. "We're just reminding everyone that mercy is strength. Compassion is strength, and the ability to heal is just as important as the ability to fight." The council voted unanimously to establish the Galactic Medical Corps, based on human principles. The Sanctuary became its flagship. Years later, a popular saying emerged among young cadets of all species, whispered in academies and training grounds across the galaxy. "Humans don't leave broken things." And in a universe that had forgotten how to mend, that made all the difference. The end.